examine the poem closely. My mother at 66 narrates the poet's feelings during a short ride in a car with her mother. The poet is traveling to the airport at Cochin after returning from a visit to her parents' house. The poet is accompanied by her mother in the drive to the airport. At the end of the poem, the poet and her mother are at the airport where the poet bids her mother farewell. The predominant theme of the poem is the poet's struggle to accept the inevitability that her mother has grown old. The poet is keenly aware of her mother's old age, and she struggles with the fear of her mother's death. Like everyone, the aging of one's parents and their death is a fear that the poet cannot comfortably face. The poem presents the turmoil within the poet's mind as she recognizes her fear of her mother's passing away, a fear that she has nursed since childhood. This is a fear that is common to everyone. Old age and eventual death are inevitable, as the poet realizes, and it must be acknowledged rather than ignored. One must accept the inevitable and smile despite it. The poem also presents a contrast between life and youth on one side and age and death on the other. The young trees which appear to be sprinting and the children spilling out of their homes contrast with the sadness and tiredness of age visible in the poet's mother. This emphasizes that life and death will be ever present within this world. A fear of the future is yet another theme running through the poem. This fear is linked to the fear of loss, as the poet realizes at a very young age the future almost certainly holds the loss of her parents. Another theme that comes through strongly in this poem is that of familial love. The poet is saddened by her mother's old and frail appearance and is troubled by thoughts of her death. The poet's mother, however, does not let her age stand in the way of accompanying her daughter to the airport, thus demonstrating the strong bond they share. The poet uses two very strong similes to highlight her mother's appearance. In these lines, the poet compares her mother's ashen face to that of a corpse, to communicate the fear of her mother's death that is present in the poet's mind. The second simile used by the poet compares the poet's mother to a late winter's moon. The words late and winter serve to emphasize the old and decaying age of the poet's mother, while also, in an indirect manner, expressing the beauty that age possesses through the image of the moon. The poet personifies the trees that she sees outside the window. The young trees are spoken of as sprinting. The poet uses personification to draw a contrast between life and old age. The poet uses young trees and children playing as symbols of youth and continuing life. The imagery of the winter moon serves to present a vivid picture of the poet's mother's age. The poet uses tautology and repetition for emphasis in the last lines of the poem. The words wan, pale, both describing tiredness, are used to really emphasize the appearance of the mother's face. The poet furthermore uses the word smile repeatedly at the end of the poem, trying to draw attention to the turmoil within. She hides her helplessness for the sake of her mother.